There's no animal as dumb as a gazelle. I mean, zebras are very close, like number twos, but gazelles are dumb. Anyone who says those things are smart, I will debate you all day. That thing definitely saw the lion. She saw the lion, and she's looking and chewing grass and then looking up, and you can tell the ears are like up. So, she saw the lion. This stupid gazelle, we're like, go, 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 and she's just there. She's just standing. And then she looks in the distance for a minute. And I guess what she was thinking was, I asked my friend, like, what do you think this lion is thinking? Like, oh, I bet that's what was going on. Because, like, there's nothing in the distance that you're looking at.
I will be right here.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fabish Mark podcast. It's another episode. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. It's 5 a.m. here, and I'm recording a new episode. Actually, to be honest, I never sleep during the day. Sorry, during the night. That's just a thing I do because I do school at night. But that's not important. What's important is that we're doing an episode. um, and I just want to, dive straight in and talk about this movie I saw the other day. It's called Babylon. I gotta say, Margot Robbie is undoubtedly one of the best actresses on planet Earth. I think she's a movie star. These days it's like it's hard to tell if somebody's a movie star or if they're, um, Disney kids who come up to be in movies or TikTokers who become movie stars. But Margot Robbie, Tom Cruise, those are like legit movie stars. Um, and in this movie, it's very long. It's like 3 hours. So I know if you don't like movies, this might not be the one for you because it's 3 hours long. Hold on, let me just put this mic. I don't want it blocking my mouth. Anyway, the movie is 3 hours long, and it has like it's. I will say it's like if you don't like focusing on movies, this is not your type of movie because you have to really like focus or unless or else you miss the whole thing. And it's set in the 1920s. Because I know it's 3 hours, I don't know if a lot of people are gonna watch it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil it for you. So just skip the spoiler. Maybe like 5 minutes, then we'll be good. But anyway, this movie is about actually on the bottom of YouTube I'll have like chapters so you can just skip this part. But the movie is about movie stars in the 1920s and their way of like doing movies, and it was pretty cool because they did movies as silent films. So there was no sound at all. So it was they would do like a scene, and then they would have like writing in the middle, like cut a write like like explanation, like a script, and then like the scene and then a script and then the scene and then the script. But the scripts were very like short and very precise. So like if Margot Robbie was gonna cry in a hospital, they'll be like, well, um she's celebrating death or she's celebrating somebody's life. Like it will be very specific to the point. Anyway, this movie is awesome. One thing I love about the movie is the craziness. It's crazy because there's with that one scene in the party where they bring in an elephant and a lot is going on, and the band just doesn't stop. They just keep going. So I just love that movie. If you want a movie that you can just be like, wow, that movie, Margot Robbie is perfect in that movie. It kind of has a very sad ending, but Babylon in general is a great movie. I enjoyed that movie. Brad Pitt was awesome. I don't know what the other guy's name is, but the whole thing was awesome. Now, speaking of movies, it's kind of funny that there's now been like this thing where people are complaining about movies being long, but then it's funny because I know someone who cannot concentrate and watch a movie for like 20 minutes. That's like tops. If we go to the movie theater, he's gonna fall asleep. But then he'll go ahead and watch like 30 TikToks or even 300 or 400 TikToks. and like spend the same amount of time, but never feel like like it was long. And so it's always funny when people complain that like somebody's like, "Oh man, did you go to see Black Panther, Wakanda Forever?" No. Why? And then they, as they talk to you, they turn on TikTok on their phone. They're like, "Well, it's just so long," you know. And then like they go ahead to like scroll through 1,000 of those things. So then you're like, "Oh, it doesn't make sense." But anyway, that is that. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing against people, but like, you know, don't tell people movies are long and then you go and watch 300 TikToks. Anyway, speaking of TikToks and things that are trending now, I saw something or I had something today that was very interesting, and I've just got to ask. I was sitting next to these ladies today in a bus, right? And they were just having their own conversation. I was, when somebody is having conversation loudly but beside you, you can't not listen. The ladies were sitting beside me, and they were having a conversation. And I guess one of them was talking about the guy she was seeing or dating or whatever. And she was like, "Well, this guy did not post me on their status on WhatsApp. A lot of people here use WhatsApp." And the other guy was like, "Go, that's a red flag." And I was like, "What? Hold on. What is a red flag?" I did not ask them. I just thought to myself, like, what really is a red flag? Because there's people who are very good. I've had this so many times. There's people who are very good at pointing out what red flags are, but then you kind of look at them and you're like, you are like a red flag already, like you're waving in the in the wind. So then I'm like, well, the, the whole point of the red flag thing doesn't really work when everybody's not perfect. Because you're like, I guess what you need to say is that just doesn't fit what you're looking for. Because then when you're like, oh, red flag, then they might see something in you that's not really like fitting them, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a red flag. Then the whole idea of a red flag is like, just pointing out imperfections in people. I mean, some of them might be extreme, I understand, or weird, but just the normal things like somebody not posting you on their status or a story. I guess that's what the world has come to, but it's kind of sad because, like, if everything is becoming a red flag, then at the end of the day, like, people are not going to get like married or like, they won't be put dating because there's some people who their job is to just look for red flags. Like you'll think they play golf or like flag football or something. All they can do is point out red flags, and I just don't get it. Anyway, um, maybe me complaining is a red flag. Who knows? But yeah, the whole red flag thing. How does that work? Because is it saints versus sinners? And so the sin is red flag because if that's the point, then everybody has a red flag. So I just wanna, I'm just, I guess I'm asking the red flag police. Um, does that mean that you also like accept that you have red flags? Because how does that work? I don't get that part. Um, but yeah, speaking of flags and all that, there's a huge story breaking now. There's actually a very big story breaking now. Um, and it has. I guess when this episode will be coming out, I will feel much better. But it's about my favorite sports team on earth, Manchester United. Okay, I just gotta give a backstory. We, for the last 6 months, have been doing perfect. We have been on a perfect run. We've been scoring goals. Rashford has been doing a lot of, like good stuff. If you don't know Rashford, he's one of the best players in the world. Anyway, Manchester United has been awesome. We got a new coach. He turned things around. The mood, like those dark days are gone. I've been feeling awesome. And then Liverpool, on the other hand, have been having one of the most terrible seasons. And then, something happens where we go to the worst team in the Premier League and then they beat us 7-0. Okay, for those people who don't watch football, that is not normal. 7-0 is like getting pro footballers versus it's almost like putting the Kansas City Chiefs versus a bunch of high school flag football players. That's how bad it is. Like I don't know, even in terms of like that would be 49 to nothing. In well, yeah, because a touchdown is 6 points plus the yeah, so that's seven. So that's 49 points. That's how bad that game was. It's almost like what Georgia did to TCU, except people knew Georgia was gonna win. This was different. Pe- No one predicted Liverpool to win, and no one even thought they would win by that much. Um, and so yeah, it's tattooed in there. It's burnt into my brain. And this is what Marcus Rashford actually does. Our star player, wherever he scores, he does this. Maybe he was screwing it in there because we got beat 7-0. And, I cannot stand that. Like, Liverpool are our biggest, like, rivals, and for them to beat a 7-0, I'm telling you, it was the seven stages of grief. It started, 1-0, I'm like, well, we're going to bounce back. Then 2-0, I'm like, oh, wow, we can still, 2-0 is a dangerous score. Somebody scores one and then they're back in the game. And then 3-0, I'm like, all right, yeah, we need to be serious. 4-0, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not watching it. Am I 5-0? Oh my goodness. At that point I'm like, just defend and don't let them score anymore. I'm like, just do everything. Every player I would have wished to play was playing. I'm like, just do something. 5-0 is already that bad. And my phone is like ringing, because all the Arsenal fans who are now top of the league are like, bantering me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. 6-0? I'm gonna tell you, for I think since 2011, 2011, ever since 2011, I have never missed a Manchester United game except once when my dad died. Every ever since that time, I have never missed a menu game, and I turned off the game when they scored 16 for the first time ever. I could not stand it because I was like, oh my goodness. So then I turned off my phone and I was like, it was like 30 minutes to go. I'm like, it was 30 minutes to go. They scored 6 goals. They scored 1 goal in the first half. They scored the rest in the second half. Listen, that was like the worst day ever. And the funny thing is, I didn't even feel that bad. I just couldn't watch it because I knew how good we'd been, and then that happens. I was like, oh my, what can you do? And then now when I turned it back on, it was 7. I was like, oh, just let the game end. That whistle at the end was a relief. But anyway, that happens, but it didn't need to happen that bad. um and then now we've bounced back, but I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the pain of us losing 7-0 to Liverpool. It doesn't help. But one thing that helps, there's uh, I'll talk about my country for a minute. I don't normally talk about Kenya, but I will today. Okay, there's a lot of progression going on, and I just want you to listen to what I'm gonna say and don't. If you're somebody that is very much into social issues and all that jazz, I just need you to listen to what I'm gonna say and don't misinterpret it. Now, the Kenyan government or people of Kenya who identify as LGBTQ, I think plus. I don't want to mess up the alphabet, but I think it's LGBTQ, right? There's some of in Kenya we have people who identify as gay, trans, all that, lesbian, um, and like over the last 2 years, there's been like pressure from the West to legalize, you know, gay and lesbianism, um, and all the other, gender identifications in Kenya. I guess that's the right term. It's I'm working on eggshells. I don't know what all those like the specific ways. I need to like educate myself more. But what happened was recently or like the last 2 months the communities came together and went to court to file for a right to be recognized. Now, the court said, all right, so the Kenyan court, the Supreme Court of Kenya, granted LGBTQ groups the right to form and be organizations, I think NGOs, to operate as NGOs, which will shelve them from being attacked by the government or from being, like harassed by the public or by officials. Now, the court did this, right? And it's still like it's coming out, it's still being worked on. And it's been like big news because Kenya is so conservative in that way. The government, on the other hand, does not like it. Our president is so much against it. So now, you have this thing where one party is trying to stop it, the other party, which is the most powerful party in the land, which is the courts, the judicial system, say they can merge and be groups. Now, it's a very funny situation because, not funny, but it's a very interesting situation because we all know everything that is happening in the West at some point is going to happen in our country anyway. And I think we're going to try to fight it. But I think at the end of the day, my view in this, I guess, is, you know, live and let live. You know, if somebody is if whatever somebody is doing is not stopping you from having a good night's sleep or having food, then let them do what they want. And so I think that is a very hard situation because I understand again because I was raised in Kenya how foreign this is, and to speak for the devil, I guess that's the term. It's very hard for Kenyan, like our like my grandparents, to even fathom the idea of a man marrying another man. Does that make sense? And so I think I'm not saying they're not open to that idea, but I think the pace at which the West is bringing it in is a little too much, and they feel disrespected in that way because they feel like they've not been given enough time to chew on it. Does that make sense? Because I think everything has ramped up in the last 2 years way faster, and I also think social media has something to do with it, and it's mostly the younger generation that is coming out, which is, I mean, good for them. You gotta be who you are. I completely think if if you feel a certain way, then if you wanna express it, that's totally fine. I think I think that's beautiful. That's great. But I also think because the laws of the country don't allow that, it makes it a bit difficult. Now, something I've kind of realized from this recently is that people will not like normally accept something or be bothered by something until it really bothers them. And close to that, like there's a lot of examples. Like one, like Kenyans, like think of um like gay marriages and things like that. It is so foreign to a Kenyan, like especially like the older generation. It's so foreign that I guess they thought it was going to take years, but even like it's they thought it would be impossible for that to ever happen. But then like something happened. There was a guy who was, I think he was gay, and he was a fashion designer, if I understand correctly, and he was killed by his partner for some reason. Anyway, it sparked the changes that are now happening in Kenya, and I think other African countries are gonna follow suit. And the thing that I'm gonna tell people is some things, however much you try to stop them, eventually I think the laws of nature and like freedom and democracy will win and will prevail. And so I think now there's a big huge backlash towards this. Um and which is from an older generation's perspective I can understand, but I also think um however much we try to fight it, as much or as long as Kenya gets more and more developed, the more we're going to see a lot of changes, especially social changes. And it's for the better, I think, especially for women, for children, and for the marginalized groups. I think it's very hard to, it's very dangerous to just put everything together and say, yeah, we are not going to do that. I think sometimes you pick the best of the bunch, and then you see what fits your people, and you move forward. Now, why did I say that people don't care about stuff until it bothers them? A good example is America and Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. For a long time, the idea of the Middle East becoming a dominant power was not even like something America would be like, oh yeah, we need to worry about that. Like, it was so far off thought that, you know like, what, the Middle East is a very, like, it's very volatile, and they keep changing governments and all these things. And but then somehow some small emirates in the Middle East started forming up nicely, and then now they're bringing so much force in terms of finance into the world, and they're injecting so much money into different projects. Now, that, like, 10 years ago was so far off, like, anyone's imagination. I mean, I know people knew, like, there was, like, the Saudi family was wealthy in Qatar and all that, but however fast they've taken over the world was not something they had foreseen. And so now America and the West have got, to deal with it in any way possible, because here is a very wealthy group of people who also have some very, very questionable moral values, you know, and they're rapidly taking over the world, and the poor countries are rallying up behind them because they're so tired of being poor, they're so tired of being told what to do, and all they want is to make it in the world. Now, so many countries now are switching their, focus to the Middle East, because think about it. Nobody thought Qatar would successfully host a World Cup. And up until the day the World Cup started, there was a lot of backlash. And somehow they made it through, and people quickly forgot, as the World Cup became more entertaining, people quickly forgot about how much, you know, suffering was, like, taken by people for that World Cup to take place. And people actually started embracing it. And some people even say it was one of the best World Cups in the world, in history, sorry. And so it goes to tell you that they did that, and they successfully did that, and it's now in the past. Now, they're going to look at something else bigger. I am telling you, don't be surprised if the Super Bowl is on a yacht in Saudi Arabia in 10 years. Not even 10, 3 years. Because you might not see it coming, but they already have a plan for it. Um, look at LIV. Look at the golf world. Nobody thought that Saudi Arabia could do something as crazy as come into the PGA Tour and take some of the topmost golfers and just take them like that. Like, within a week, they were all gone. And so I think people really believe in the foundations of what they have, and they believe in whatever principles and rules they have to protect them from exterior factors. But then you come to realize that as long as people have the will and as much money as they want, they can turn those rules very quickly. I mean, I was watching a Netflix documentary about the Live and the PGA, and it's called Swing, Full Swing. And it's kind of sad and embarrassing how the PGA is, like, um, in some ways, like, I understand how, like, how the players could be like, okay, I'm gonna, I will do this because it's for money. At the end of the day, it's for money. But the PGA is, like, hanging on to the human rights thing, but in a way that makes them, like, look like the better of the options. But in reality, if Liv wasn't there, they would have still kept on paying these guys the same amount. Now they're pushing those amounts up, and so, like, it almost feels like the PGA is very what's that word? Not spoiled, but like they feel like it's their right to have these players and nobody else can, which is so funny with golf because in football, soccer, um, there's always been players going to the Middle East. Like ever since Cristiano Ronaldo now plays in Saudi Arabia, and it's a very normal thing. With golf, though, I think it's because it's a majority of American players were snapped up into the LIV, tournament. Now people are getting attention, and so that's just how the world works. I think, and here's the funny thing: I think that they're not going to stop at that. They have successfully held the World Cup. They have created a new golf series which is more wealthy, much more like it's shorter, less games. The players get to spend more time with their families. Who's going to turn that down? I will tell you, there's a part of me that thinks if I was a golfer, I would have really thought about that. I don't think I would have signed for it, but I would have really thought about it because it's very tempting. You play less, you get more money, you spend more time with your family, and it's just like it's all like the good stuff. But then it comes a lot of baggage and a lot of like blood money and all that. Now, I don't think Saudi Arabia or the Middle East are done. Because look at what they've done in football, soccer. They've gone in and bought Newcastle, made them the richest club in the world. They're about to buy Manchester United. My team is about to be bought by Qatari bankers. They are like injecting a ton of money into like projects in like you know um boxing and Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury just happened in Saudi Arabia. Floyd Mayweather fights there every other day. I really do think their next target is the NFL. And everyone's gonna say, no way, the NFL is tightly run and it's like, it's a group of old people owning clubs. I don't think that's gonna stop them. When they come in, those guys, they will come in a way that they will sweep up. I will not be surprised if the Kansas City Chiefs or the Atlanta Falcons are owned by Saudi people in like 5 years. I would not be surprised because when these people target something, they might even buy the entire NFL or create their own version of the NFL and then buy the best players and then get them to go there. All they need is somebody who will stand in for them. Like they'll just target like a Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady will be the chairman of the Saudi Football League, and then he, because he has a lot of notoriety and like respect, will bring in Mahomes and the lot. So I just think human beings in general are very comfortable until somebody threatens their comfort, and then that's when there's backlash. And this, you see this on Twitter, like unless something goes wrong, people are okay with things that really make them like nobody ever goes, oh man, this is really profiting me, but no, 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 this is wrong. I have never seen anybody that does that. As long as it profits you, it's great. When it doesn't, you know, find a way to get backlash on it, cancel it. And so, yeah, I just think it's very dangerous how quick the Middle East is getting up there, and they're doing a very very like they've poured so much money in trying to like make their image better, but in the back of their head, the funny thing is, I think all the golfers know what they're going into. Some of them might not, but I think they all do, and the one who turns out stupid here anyway is the Saudi teams, because then, yeah, the only stupid party here is the Saudis, because they're giving so much money, and these guys are taking money, but then at the back of their head, they know, like, oh, these guys are not good people. So then, like, in some ways, they just end up being like, a group of people that are really, really trying to make their image better, but they don't have any like loyalty or real connection with people. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting how that's gonna work. And you know, I, all I'm gonna say is I believe that humanity, at this moment is at a very pivotal point, and whatever happens in the next 15 years, I guess will really, really shift the way. Because imagine this, I think the moment the Middle Eastern countries get like nuclear power, I really think the power is gonna shift so much. And like they don't have like They don't have like a president who is going to switch every 4 years and come in with a different policy every single time. They have like a guy who's a king or crown prince, and this guy's gonna be there for a long time, and probably he's gonna pass down his laws. Talking about Saudi Arabia, he's gonna pass down his laws to the next guy, which he's gonna choose or pick from a a very big group. So then, like, if you have the same guy, look at what's happened to Russia. You know, they have the same guy over and over, and this guy, he's the one. His policies run to the core of that country, and so he's able to wage wars because he knows he won't be out of office anytime soon. You know, and so I think the moment Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and all these countries decide that they want to have um nuclear power, the world will be a problem. Because then, who's gonna stop them? Because here's a very, very, very rich person who has nuclear weapons, and who like is able to control, like, has sipped their fingers. It's almost like you think about, like, I was watching live, actually. I was watching picture sorry, I was watching I think an antelope being mauled by a lioness, and it was both sad but also very, like, refreshing in a very weird, odd kind of way, because you see this line, it's very dry right now. Like, the savannah is so dry. There's no sunshine. Sorry, there's no rain. And then this lion is like lurking in the tall grasses, and I, it is so stupid. Like, there's no there's no animal as dumb as a gazelle. I mean, zebras are very close, like number twos, but gazelles are dumb. Anyone who says those things are smart, I will debate you all day. That thing definitely saw the lion. She saw the lion, and, like, she's looking and chewing grass, and then looking up, and you can tell the ears are like up. So she saw the lion or the lioness. The lioness is like creeping slowly, and this stupid gazelle, we're like, go, 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 and she's just there. She's just standing. And then she looks in the distance for a minute. And I guess what she was thinking was, I asked my friend, like, what do you think this lion is thinking? Like, oh, I bet that's what was going on. Because, like, there's nothing in the distance that you're looking at. Anyway, she got jumped, like, immediately. And then she starts running. But, like, the guy is going down and is running. Like, it's the most stupid thing. Like, the lion is like, the paw is on the neck, and she starts running while she's going down. And I saw the claws of the lion, like, go deep into the neck of the antelope, and I knew, yeah, she's done. And like, within a second, it was gone. And I keep thinking of, that's what, like, Saudi Arabia is doing. Like, there's a lot of antelopes out there who are just busy eating grass and looking up and, like, looking back down and looking up, and, like, they're like, and they have no sense of direction, they have no sense of guidance, they have no rules, they have no morals, they have no policy. And then Saudi Arabia is like the lion, like, lacking into, or like the Middle East, it's like the lion lacking in the grass, and it's like, all right, well, and you're like, go, 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 run, and there's like poor countries which are like, yeah, you know what, it feels good. And then all of a sudden, like, the paw is in your neck and the claws are seeping in deep, and you can't do anything about it. It's like what China has done to our country, Kenya. They have their claws so deep that Kenya can't breathe, and that's like, I, I do think, though, that there's one, in a very funny way, there's one silver lining, and that's the US. People hate the US, but I will say, when it comes to, like, most countries, when they become, like, oppressed by other wild nations, like bigger nations, who do they look up to? It's the US. They're like, please help us, because then at that point, there's nobody else that can help you. And so, yeah, I do think, as long as America is as powerful as it is, the world, that everyone has their own mistakes. Everyone does their own things. But I think at the end of the day, we can say America, in many ways, has done more good. It is like the protector, of the world in that way. And so you can always trust a democratic country which has prevailed in democracy to lead you than a dictatorial country that throws money at everything. And so, yeah, that's the silver lining. So as long as America's around, um, we will be safe. So now this goes into us pleading with Americans. Please don't do something crazy. Please just don't do something crazy because the rest of the world is kind of looking up to you to stop the bad guys from becoming more powerful. So if you start focusing on other things and going crazy, the world might, you might wake up one day and somebody else might be on top, and getting back up when there's that much money is a big problem. But anyway, yeah, that was it, the episode. You know, somebody asked me the other day, why do you have a few subscribers on YouTube? And I didn't have an answer. I just think YouTube is very different from audio. I just think YouTube is very different from audio, and audio, people find it somewhere. Like there's a dedicated group of people who just love podcasts, so they'll go out there and look for podcasts. In YouTube, somebody's gonna find your podcast by chance, and there's nothing I hate more than sending people my link to sign up. It's just it's I don't know. It feels very like lowly. It's like, why? I think at some point I will, if like I really think you would love my content, but sending people link and be like subscribe, it's not my thing. So yeah, that's why I have a few subscribers, and that's fine. I think we are going to grow slow and steady, and I think at some point we're going to make it. We really are. I am aiming for 500 subscribers by the end of June. I think we're going to do that. So yeah, just hit that subscribe button. Oh yeah, there's one story I wanted to tell you. I read about this cobalt mine in Congo, and it's very sad what's happening there. It's crazy because like the cobalt apparently is like used in every cell phone battery, I think. And so it's like very, very important. Now, the companies that rely on cobalt, Congo itself provides like, I don't know, like 75, I don't know what percentage, but a huge percentage that if they were to shut down, the world would, like, I think that the supply of cell phones would go down. Like, there would be like a shortage of cell phones. So they're playing a major role. Now, the companies that get this cobalt and sell them to people like Apple and Nokia and Samsung. These companies, they are giving out like these vibes like, oh yeah, we're taking care of like these things are our cobalt is mined in safe conditions and stuff. That's not true. I saw a video of like a woman um going into like a mine with like the fumes coming out, and she has a baby on her back, and she's like chipping away at at the side of the mountain, and like it's so sad. And I'm now using a phone to record this, but I don't know what people can do. I think attention needs to be brought. I know the Congo is kind of a lost cause in some ways, but attention still has to be brought to stuff like this because we use phones all the time, and I don't know. Like I said, people only care about something until it bothers them. I don't think people would love the idea of their phones being made from a material that is obtained that way. But I also don't think that's enough to make them stop using their phones, which is sad, but what can you do? So I think we can just do the best we can. And I guess at some point, somebody's going to come along and enforce some rules to make these people feel better or, like, live a better life because they're paid like close to nothing, like $1, a day to go and dig cobalt to supply people in, every other part of the world. And so I just think that's a bit unfair. And what needs to go across it. I don't think I can do anything. I mean, this is the best I can do at the moment. So yeah, if you know something we could do about the cobalt mining in Congo, please let me know. I think word has to be spread about the conditions there. Um yeah. So just one last thing I want to clarify. Manchester United is not doing bad. And I think oh yeah, that's a bold prediction. I don't think Arsenal is going to win the league. See, Arsenal are those kind of people that they will yell, for a very long time. Like if you think about let me give you an analogy that works. Oh yeah, Arsenal are like hyenas, you know. They will see, let's say, an antelope, stupid antelope, for example, and they will chase this antelope down. They will chase this antelope for ages. This is what Arsenal does, okay? They will chase this antelope down for ages, and the antelope in this scenario is the Premier League trophy, which is like the most sought after trophy in world football, other than the Champions League. Anyway, they will chase this antelope down, and then right when the antelope is like, so tired, like on his last breath, the lion will come by and pounce on the antelopes, and the hyenas will end up going hungry. Maybe some scraps, might be left to them, but they'll do the hard work, and then they won't reap the benefits. I think that's what's gonna happen. I cannot wait for the time Arsenal will bottle the Premier League. I will celebrate it more than Manchester United actually winning a trophy. If somebody told me right now that would you rather Arsenal bottle the league or you win a trophy, I would take Arsenal bottling the league. I would give away that trophy just to see them, like cry. Cause oh my goodness, these people ever since they were on top, and I like pissing off Arsenal fans, but to be honest, you guys got on top and you just happened to have good form, but the way you got on top was by alphabetical order. Arsenal A. That's how you on top. And then you started doing well and then you stayed up there. So good job to you guys, but somehow luck happened that your name starts with A. If you guys were like C, you guys would have still been three, and then whoever was on top would have just continued going. So don't be so happy, it's alphabetical order. But I will say this, if I was told today that Manchester United would lose the Europa League, which is the next best trophy you can have, just to see Arsenal lose the Premier League, I would give it in a heartbeat. I would give it in a heartbeat. I would just sit there and watch them cry. Because all season long, that's like and you know the funny thing is they're just 5 points ahead. 5 points is like a game and a half. So yeah, I would do exactly that. I would give away the trophy just to see Arsenal lose. Because that would be awesome. There's nothing on earth right now that I would love to see more than Arsenal bottle the Premier League. And I think it's gonna happen. That's like the fun part of it. I think it's gonna happen. And I cannot wait to see the excuses they'll come with on Twitter. They are so good at writing excuses. They write long essays about, how the manager's bad one season, then he's like the best the next season, and then how this is good and this is bad. That's all I have for today. I am just feeling very tired. So I'm gonna go to sleep, and then I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully, we have a new episode. I'm trying to set up a thing where I do an episode a week. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I guess I'll talk to you later. Also, don't forget my merch. I'm selling hoodies and hats for Fabishmak Podcast. Yeah, so hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you don't subscribe, that's fine. You can come back again and subscribe later, but please hit the like button. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.